Hello everyone. Today I want to talk to you about letting go of the things that are out of your control, surrendering, inhaling, exhaling, and breathing, controlling what you can and letting go of the rest. Let me introduce myself. My name is Lynn Schrader and I empower men and women to step outside of their comfort zone and begin living a life that they could have never imagined. I love to ignite a fire and a passion in people who are ready for a change and who want more. So on to this topic of surrender. What does surrender mean? Surrender simply means to stop fighting with yourself, stop fighting with others, stop fighting with situations, and stop fighting with reality. So here's where this video is coming from. Yesterday, my husband and I were scheduled to fly back home from the Florida Keys. So we left our house here and drove down to Key West to catch a 10:30 flight, something like that. So we get there early, we get all everything that we needed to take care of, we got taken care of, and we finally get ushered onto the plane. And we're sitting on the plane for about 10 minutes when we're thinking, well, why isn't the plane moving? Well, the flight attendant gets on the speaker and says, we are delaying, we're gonna have a slight delay. We are looking at some mechanical issues. Okay, so you could hear people going, oh, like what about my next flight? And they were just sort of grumpy. And please know that I've been grumpy before, but of this particular flight, it was really noticeable. So we're on the plane for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and the flight attendant gets on one more time and says, we're having some mechanical issues and the mechanics are on their way. They are about 30 minutes out. We're like, 30 minutes out? What happened to mechanics at the airport? But it's Key West. So again, there's more grumbling and sighing and people hopping on their phones. So we wait some more, and then the pilot gets out into the aisle and he says, here's what's happening. The little flaps on the wings are not working, and we will be disembarking you and we'll be putting you back into the airport while we get this figured out. So we sat some more, and again, people are really getting grumpy, and eventually they took us all back into the airport to sit another hour, and they finally told us that the flight has been canceled. There are no more flights that day, yesterday, nor would there be any more flights today. So they were gonna haul everybody up in shuttle buses to Fort Myers to catch a flight. So I'm not gonna say the airline because I don't wanna come down on any airline, but we opted not to. We opted to come right back up to our house a little further north, and we're waiting it out. We're gonna fly out in a couple of days. But there were so many things that I learned from this uncontrollable situation that I wanna share with you. So, as we're looking around, there are people that are really becoming unglued with the situation that was really out of their hands. So I got to thinking last night as I was sort of processing everything that had happened, because believe me, it was a long day. It was a long day sitting, waiting, and finally coming back. So lots going through my mind, and I was thinking, as we breathe steadily through life's ups and downs, we can't control things that are gonna happen. Peace will come the minute we take a breath and we take our hands off the wheel, there's a song like that, and we choose not to allow the uncontrollable to control us. There's a peace that happens. We did not cause that situation with the airplane. The flight attendants did not cause that situation. The pilots and the mechanics, no one caused that situation. So the best thing that all of us could have done was to breathe and let it happen and think, Think of things that were in our control, right? So here are some observations that I came up with as I was sort of laying in bed last night, just just thankful that I got to go to a house and not let that event mess my whole day up. So here are just some observations in no particular order, and some of them are very similar, but I want you to think about these things as you're going through situations in your life that are uncontrollable. I coach people on these topics quite often. I coach them in my private coaching business, but I also coach them in my direct marketing business that I have with different people. And I say, you can't control the uncontrollable, but you can control some other things. So here are some observations. If you and I worry about what might be, what should be, what could be, we're gonna miss what is, what's going on around us. Not so much the present situation, but all the great things that are going on around us. In our situation, we could have been troubled by all of these things, yet forgotten the palm trees, the sand, the warm weather, just the idea that we were safe and sound. And I thought about this a lot. The fact that we weren't up in the sky and then the little flapper things to go wrong, that was a lot to be grateful for. So if we are always thinking about what should be, could be, would be, we're gonna miss the present, right? That's a no-brainer. But sometimes we've gotta bring ourselves back. Number 2, you cannot calm storms. There's no way I can't control a storm, I can't calm it, and neither can you. What happens when we try to get into control is our vision gets narrow, our breathing gets heavy, maybe even it gets shallow, and our blood might start to pump, but we start to lose focus. I watched it all around me yesterday when people were getting upset. They were losing their focus. Their breathing was getting heavy and their blood pressure was probably going up. But you and I, our vision begins to narrow when we start to try to control things we can't. And what do we want to do? We want to see clear, right? Nobody wants to go through life in a turmoil. Number 3, don't focus all of your energy. I don't want to focus all my energy on fighting or fixing or changing things. Maybe I should focus my energy on what could be new. What can I do with this situation to make it brand new? So my husband and I started talking about what we would do next. What could we do next? So then I also started watching reasonable people around me that were planning their next step of action. They were aware of what was going on, but instead of losing their focus, they were getting focused on what they could do next. How could they solve that problem without trying to control it? Number 4 is the truth of the matter is, and I coach this all the time, the biggest obstacle is in your mind. It's the way we control, how we respond. That's where the control is. There's power in our response to situations. We give up our power when we go fly off the handle, but we regain our power and we keep it when we control the way we respond, when we have a reasonable conversation about what we can do next. So it was really fun to be back in the airport and watch the people who had a reasonable control on their power. They weren't flying off the handle and yelling at the attendant at the desk. It's really very uncomfortable. And number five is life's surprises can be really, really great. So what happened with my husband and I, we came back here and we actually made lemonade out of lemon. my husband immediately went fishing with somebody, with our neighbor, and he learned all these new fishing techniques that he wasn't familiar with. So we had a conversation about that. What you can do with a icky situation is be happy about what could come out of it. Even if we had chosen to drive up to Fort Myers, we could have been experiencing a lot of really neat things. So it's all with what as you change your focus. So here's a quote that I really, really love, and maybe I love it because I'm a farmer's daughter, but this is a good quote for trying to let go of control. And it's this quote right here. If you want to control your animals, give them a larger pasture. If you want to control your animals, give them a larger pasture. Can you picture that? So instead of trying to tightly control things, putting a fence around things, a border around things, trying to control the schedule of a flight, even though we want to, right? We all want to make our next flight. When we try to tightly control things and put a fence around them, that's when things can go awry. But if we give our animals a bigger pasture, it works out. So as we loosen up, as we give more space, those animals, life, things are gonna happen, they're gonna roam, and they're gonna do what they naturally do. But when you and I step back and we allow things to happen, things will take care of themselves. So my homework assignment, my little get your pen and paper, what are things that you're trying to control in your life that you need to take a hands-off approach about and give yourself a wider vision, breathe in, breathe out, and surrender. Wave the white flag and stop fighting with things that are out of your control. What can you do? What are some things in your life that you can say, okay, I'm done. I'm done. So I hope you got some value out of this video training. If you did, please pass it, pay it forward. That's one of my favorite things to do in the world, is to pay things forward. So if you got some value, pay it forward. I'm gonna drop my website in the comment section. If you want to check out some other trainings that I did, that would be great. Have a great day. I appreciate you watching.